Arclight Red, as there are no runaway Steamkins. Just 12 creatures in Andrew's list. It's Monastery Swiftspear, Bedlam Reveler, and Arclight Phoenix. The last two, Reveler and Phoenix, seems like every version of this, whether it's Izzet, Mono Red, Mardu, Grixis, all seem to play those. But Swiftspears, that's just an Andrews.
Yeah, the Mono Red. I think Rudy had 2 copies. But Schneider's on the full 4. He's playing a burn deck.
Starts off on Rift Bolt, suspends, and that'll shoot 3 upstairs. Down to 17 goes Michael. Some interesting ones here. One that I've only ever seen in Pauper Burn. He has 4 copies of the card Needle Drop from Morningtide.
Well, you see,
and
it is
there
a
it
cantrip
is.
effect in your deck that's trying to cast 3 instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
I actually think this card's very charming. It's sort of doing what Manamorphose does for the deck.
Yeah, so 1 red, an instant, deal 1 damage to a target that has already taken damage this turn, draw a card. As you saw there, yeah. Okay, ping you for 1 draw card, great.
If you've ever cast a Needle Drop, it has probably been targeting your opponent in Pauper or killing the 2/4 Drake.
Michael Olson on Jund, down to 13, has taken that burn right now. And Andrew Schneider keeps keeping to go here. Looks like his hand is 2 Arclight Phoenix, a Bedlam Reveler, and a copy of Fiery Temper.
Spire Golem is a card I'm thinking of. Many a Needle Drop has killed a Spire Golem.
Seal of Fire from Michael Olson. Michael Olson also a winner here on the tour in the SCG Indie Open. Seal of Fire and Tarmogoyf from Olson. So that's kind of a nice 1-2 here, getting an enchantment into the graveyard.
Yeah. Also gets to leave that up. I don't know how much he's figured out about the decks he's playing against, but Seal of Fire can sit around and block 1 time with the Phoenix attacking.
Fiery Temper upstairs. Olson's down to 8. Schneider draws Lava Spike. Shoot that off. So Olson down to 5. At this point he's just looking kind of like a weird burn deck.
Right. Like, I don't know if you just couldn't find Sacred Foundries and had to figure the rest out.
Yeah, look at the graveyard, though. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's all burn spells. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This is coherent. I understand this. It's a little weird, but I know what your deck is doing.
Tarmogoyf swings in for 2, and Olson goes for Liliana of the Veil.
I hope Schneider disguised a Fiery Temper.
No, it's going to be an Arclight Phoenix.
That's pretty good, too. Yeah, Liliana is not great against this build of red.
I suspect if he plays 3 instants in a turn, though, that Phoenix isn't going to matter anyway.
Well, what if they're Manamorphose?
Okay, let's see. You're right. I'm going to say that, and now he's going to chain Manamorphose.
Oh, no, he drew Rift Bolt.
You know, I think he'll take it here.
It's fine.
Michael's at 5. Yeah, it's fine.
Looks like plenty of instants and sorceries, so he can cast Bedlam Reveler. Kind of wants to decide he wants to suspend the Rift Bolt first, and it seems reasonable. It's very unlikely that he draws into the ability to cast 2 more instants and sorceries.
Cast Bedlam Reveler, discards another Arclight Phoenix. All reasonable things to be doing.
Yeah.
Draws 3 cards. Totally fair.
The odds are very low that he does not win the game on the following turn.
Tormenting Voice, Arclight Phoenix, and land.
Okay, so the Arclight Phoenix is an easy discard to the Liliana.
Well, hold on. No. I guess there's Seal of Fire in play. I was going to say I want to make land 4 and cast the Arclight Phoenix, but it would get hit by Seal of Fire.
But next turn, you mean?
Yeah, next turn.
Sure.
Like, right, if I discard the other card, then I can just hit you with the Phoenix.
Well, you have 1 spell with the Rift Bolt coming off Suspend, and that's why I like just using Tormenting Voice, discard the land, and it's like pretty likely you're able to cast another spell.
Yeah.
Also, I like to get a little fancy.
I always like the derpy plays. I will cast my 3/2 haste, my Snare Thopter. -2, Bedlam Reveler into the graveyard. Tarmogoyf pumps to 3/4.
Yeah, Schneider's not missing that one.
And I'm looking at Olsen's deck. No Kitchen Finks in the main. His only source of life gain are 3 copies of Scavenging Ooze.
Scavenging Ooze would have been nice if he had that already and could just exile these Phoenixes. As it stands, it's pretty easy for Schneider to get in for some lethal damage here.
Tormenting Voice from Schneider. He sent that Rift Bolt upstairs. Olson down to 2. And it looks like he picked up a Lightning Bolt. He'll cast Monster Swift Spear and then bolt his opponent.
Well, that's
that'll
lethal.
do it. That'll
it's
still do
3
it.
spells. It's lethal, but it is 3 spells.
Oh, yeah, we can get back our arc lights.
A lot of bad news
more.
for Olson there.
And Schneider cleaning up game 1. More or less just looking like a burn deck, but a solid game 1 even for a burn deck.
Yeah, like the Bedlam Reveler was cool. It was kind of making up the difference of not having Boros Charm in your deck, though.
Yeah.
It wasn't pushing it over the top. The fact that if he had to point burn spells at creatures, though, he would have been getting back Phoenixes there. You see how there were some potential upgrades relative to playing just burn.
Yeah, if Michael had had a handful of Inquisition of Kozilek, which John really likes to do in the matchup, I think Schneider could have still won.
Right.
And that's something, multiple Inquisitions is a great way to beat burn normally.
Yes.
So let's move over to the sideboards. Michael Olson, he's going to need some life gain. Or something. 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Damping Sphere, 2 Nihil Spellbomb, and then he has some one-ofs, which would be Liliana the Last Hope, Kalatas, Assassin's Trophy, Angrath. Ooh. That's nice. Surgical Extraction, Ancient Grudge, and Grafdigger's Cage.
So Collective Brutality is great here. It's great against burn. It's a little bit worse here because Schneider is playing a deck that has sort of a mid-range plan.
Yeah.
So he's going to want to supplement that with some of this graveyard hate. I like the Kalitas a lot.
I actually really like what Arclight Red is doing here. Traditional burn has trouble with Collective Brutality. The card's just incredible. It's a 3-for-1.
Yes.
I feel like in this matchup, it's still a great card, but instead of being a 3-for-1, it's probably no better than a 2-for-1, maybe even 1-for-1 sometimes.
Yes, yeah, the card can be a little bit weak in a matchup like this. Olson has some options that are a little bit mopey. I don't like something like Nihil Spellbomb in the matchup. It can be fine. I suppose it specifically pushes back on Bedlam Reveler. You want some amount of graveyard hate. Anger of the Gods is a little bit weak. You don't know how many creatures are in Schneider's deck. It's a new deck, but you know minimally it does not kill Bedlam Reveler, and you have to take a hit off of Phoenix Swift Spear before you can answer it. So I think that card's a little bit weak in the matchup. But some stuff like Surgical to answer all the Phoenixes could be pretty important for Olson in this matchup.
And that's why I like this mono red deck so much. We're talking about a matchup where Michael got basically lava spiked 4 times, and then we're saying, yeah, he's going to have to board in Surgical Extraction. Right?
Yeah.
Like, how good is that as a burn player to hear that?
Yeah, you got to be a little bit thrilled about that.
Andrew's side, he has 4 Tormod's Crypt, 3 Molten Rain, 3 Shrine of Burning Rage, 2 Dragon's Claws, 2 Anger of the Gods, and a 1 of Risk Factor.
Don't mind Risk Factor in a grindy matchup like this. On the play, I'm a big fan of Molten Rain. On the draw, probably a little bit slow, but...
Tell me about these Shrine of Burning Rages.
So this is a really interesting card because if your opponent's fighting the graveyard, if your opponent is fighting your burn spells, so some combination of, Grafdigger's Cage, Collective Brutality in a matchup like this, you just cast Shrine of Burning Rage. And sometimes it does 15 damage.
Yeah. Yeah, do you feel like this is the matchup where you'd want to do that? Jund closes a little quickly, so I like Shrine. If I'm getting clocked by a Tarmogoyf, maybe not.
Yeah, you also have the issue where your opponent's probably playing some number of Assassin's Trophy, and Maelstrom Pulse. So they have answers to Shrine, which can be a little bit embarrassing. I like it a bit better against some of the other grindy decks where it's more likely to stick around.
It feels like, I think, if your opponent is hating out your graveyard, your Bedlam Revelers are going to be pretty uncastable, and maybe this is another different way to go big.
Yeah, against Jund, with Dredge being so popular last weekend, I think you can reasonably conclude that your opponent does have graveyard hate, so pivoting a little bit makes a good amount of sense.
So if you haven't had a chance, on our channel, we've recently added last month the Versus Live. It's part of the Star City Games Versus series where some of the top players in Roanoke battle out the top decks of the format, except we stream it live here on this channel every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Twitch.tv/SCGCHAR.
Versus Live has been a super fun show. One thing about it, you're used to the Versus series. You get to watch some of your favorite players play some of the coolest decks and best decks in your favorite formats. But with Versus Live, you get to submit your questions as you watch, and you'll see some of the greatest minds in the game just answer your questions.
Mulligan on Michael Olson's side. Ryan, we have some bingo updating we've been remiss in.
Yeah.
We haven't done it. All right. I'm going to go through some. So, here's what I got. Card with landfall has been played. Aaron Barrett's played a Groundswell. We've had a Prowess creature get pumped twice in a turn. We've had a Bedlam Reveler do that. We've had a counter draw off a Cryptic Command.
Jeez, you got a bunch.
We have Rudy. We had a match with the 2018 Open winner. We've had a Conflagrate's been flashbacked. We've had a 5/6 Tarmogoyf. We've had a Riftbolt cast off suspend. And we've had an unstable basic land. So I'm going to check and we've had a runaway Steamkin played.
All right. Well, my board's not really advancing as much as yours.
I checked off like 9 things.
I have an Expedition on the battlefield. That's going to be Ben Nikolic with his Sacred Foundry. He also cycled a Hieroglyphic Illuminations. Conflagrate for 2 or more damage. That happened. We have a Bedlam level for 2. We've seen that a couple times.
You have an Envy winner, Aaron Barrett.
Yep, Aaron Barrett. I was trying to think if we saw a Fatal Push Revolted. I think we only saw it cast.
Guilds of Ravnica split card cast.
Yeah, the fact that it has to be a split cards, like... Does Snake know this is a Modern tournament?
That's a shame.
Are they putting Find Finality in the Golgari? Is Sol Malkon Find Finality?
You have a square of turn 3 Tron, which I think's funny because we've had turn 3 Tron made under Alpine Moon, but that's like definitely not Tron. Michael Olson keeping on 5. Andrew Schneider going to suspend Riftbolt again. Secret. See, this Arclight red deck is actually just burn. It's just mono red burn.
Yeah, I like this a lot more than the Steamkin build of the deck. It's just way more focused.
What are your thoughts? Interestingly, so in regular burn, Riftbolt is considered worse than Lava Spike. But in Andrew Schneider's deck, he's on 4 Riftbolt, 0 Lava Spike.
When you're gassing back up with Bedlam Reveler...
Or actually, it's 4 Lava Spike.
He's
Correction.
on Lava Spike.
Okay.
But anyway, the point stands that when you're gassing back up with Bedlam Reveler, pointing removal spells at creatures is a lot easier. The cost is much lower. And as we've been discussing throughout the weekend, Humans is going to be a very represented deck. There's an argument for it being the best deck in Modern, certainly one of the best decks. So pointing removal spells at creatures is going to be important.
Here's where the burn comparison starts to fail. Andrew Schneider just playing nothing on turns 2 and 3. Olson missing land drop 3. Schneider going to cast a Faithless Looting. I still want to be like land 4 Arclight Phoenix swing, but I know that's...
I've been doing that some in Standard. It's a lot less good to do that in Modern.
Off looting, he will discard Arclight Phoenix and another looting. Looks like we're going to then go for Tormenting Voice, discarding a land. Can he make a 3rd spell? That's the question.
Now I just really want to Spell Snare or Tormenting a Voice.
Lava Spike. Olson to 17, and you get the Phoenix as well. That's better than casting the Phoenix, I suppose. Phoenix will get lightning bolted.
And that exchange is just fine for Schneider.
Yeah, it'll be back.
As Phoenixes are wont to do. And that's a great thing about Faithless Looting. Really easy to stop yourself from flooding in this matchup. And it's also just spell 1. You get to get started when you're able to start with flashing back the Faithless Looting.
Now let's watch this one. Monastery Swift Spear. Lightning Bolt on the Ooze. Lightning Bolt upstairs. Needle Drop upstairs.
Ooh, and this is a big Swift Spear.
Yeah. All right, so Mike goes into 13. His prowess is at 3. Here comes Art Like Phoenix to join the party. Swift Spear is a 4. Phoenix is 3. Here's a swing for 7. Olson to 6.
Not bad.
Nice turn. Scavenging Ooze. Go.
That's not going to do it.
No, one more Bolt Effect should do it. And there's a Rift Bolt in Andrew's hand. Flame Jab. Oh, now we're just styling. Flame Jab. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I still have this Rift Bolt. Andrew Schneider, two-game winner.
I'm a huge fan of this one of Flame Jab.
Whew.
You know, you wouldn't believe it.